Well, everything we are doing, folks, is working. It's helping and it's moving the needle. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Happy Wednesday. We are, of course, battling for the heart and soul of freedom in the state of Nevada. I realize those of you listening from out of state are puzzled by this, but that's okay. I mentioned this before. I'll do it again here. 6 years ago, I left California, came to Nevada, and the purpose behind it was to live in a state that was going to have a little less regulation, was going to give me and my business a little bit more freedom, keep a little bit more of my money in my pocket. And so I get a little prickly when I see a good thing potentially going down the toilet. So the special session that we're in has obviously all the hallmarks or all the markers of putting us down this bad path. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. In a crash, call Sam and Ash 1-800-304-2000 because you deserve what's right. I have been working the phones. I have been working my email. I have been very active on X, on Twitter, at What's Right Sam is where you can find me, to stop this Hollywood film tax bill. Now, if you're new to this issue, let me tell you my simple take on this. I am all for creating jobs. I get it. I'm a jobs creator myself. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I've made money in different industries. I'm not just a pretty face on a billboard, okay? And I have to tell you, I know what I need to succeed as a business owner. I need taxes to be as low as possible, regulation to be as low as possible. Essentially, I want government to get the hell out of my way. Now, these film tax credits, right? This is, at least in a concept form, it's a great idea. Right? Let's get Hollywood to open up film studios that are, 280 miles away from Hollywood. Seems like a perfect place for them to go, particularly since Nevada is a better place to do business even now, today, than certainly California. But what these studios have gotten accustomed to in a bunch of states, I think over 20 across this country, have been falling over themselves to give literally, huge tax abatements. I mean, it's money, and because these, and I'll get to in a minute to what these, rebates consist of, what these tax breaks consist of. But they're giving these enormous tax breaks to these companies, and it doesn't deliver what it promises. It's not like the stadium. It's not like Allegiant where, you bring in the Raiders and all of a sudden there are these, this is draw that brings tourism to the Strip. It's not like that. And the worst part about this tax bill, this tax credit bill, is that these tax credits, here's the important part, are fully transferable. They can be sold, traded, given to an industry that is already in the state, an industry that already has taxable income, an industry that already has a tax burden. And when they are given this tax break, which of course is going to get traded, sold, by the entity that receives it to one of these existing companies, that is real money that we don't see. Imagine this. Sony Studios, whatever, some film studio says, yeah, okay, we're building them. You start building a building in Summerlin. They go, you know what, never mind. But they've already received the tax break. They don't need the full extent of the tax break. They sell for 25, 15, 10 cents on the dollar the unused tax credits. And a company like MGM that already pays X amount of dollars in taxes every year that is baked into our state budget buys those. and then uses them to simply pay less tax. Now, in a perfect world, none of us are taxed, but the reality is that we have a state budget and it operates at a certain number, at a certain level. And if you do this, what happens is that is money to the tune of perhaps 80, 90, certainly $70 million a year that's out of the budget. And the Democrats are already talking about putting an amendment out there, putting out a vote to the people for income tax, because they'll come to us with that emergency. Our budget will be upside down. We're going to be facing a fiscal cliff. And what are they going to do? They're going to put out a ballot initiative that says, hey, we have this crisis. Never mind how we got there, but we need to save our state. And so what we're going to do is go after the top 5%, high income, high net worth individuals. We're going to tax those people to hell. And you know how that will go. Many of our friends and neighbors will vote for that bill. It's not my money. We got to do something. It's an emergency. It's whatever. And that will open the door to having an income tax forever in the state. Just ask the good people of California how these income taxes go. They start small, they grow, and they never stop growing. You can never put the income tax genie back in the bottle. Now, here is how dire it is. I was just talking to a couple of my contacts up in Carson City. The Democrats, even that are voting no on this bill, have been threatened. There's one guy, Edgar Flores, who reportedly got physically threatened by a union rep in the Capitol, in Carson City, for his no vote. Don't get near to me, is what this guy allegedly told Senator Flores. Don't get near me. I will kick your money. I didn't say money. I think you know what word he said. He was very direct. And this is the kind of thuggery that is happening in our state government, that is a lawless clown show. In no world, regardless of what your opinion is on this bill, is something like this okay. Now, it's ripe for a Department of Justice investigation. It's ripe for the FBI to start doing interviews as this thing winds up. But I'll tell you this, your phone calls, your emails, your posts on social media have made a difference. And the Republicans and even some of the Democrats have heard us. And so currently they don't have the votes for this thing. But it is, to me, this is just such a folly. And what I don't like about it fundamentally, when I think about it, is the level of threats that are required and money that is being promised. I mean, another person told me that Flores, same guy who was threatened by the union representative, allegedly, was also allegedly offered $6 million to a charity of his choice. These are the kind of promises that are being made by lobbyists out of state for these big companies that are all going to benefit on this. Everybody's going to make money except for us. We, the citizens of Nevada, are going to get the short end of the stick here. We will get screwed. Mark my words. My gosh, I mean, this is so common sense, and I get it. This is why, by the way, we got two Republican senators that still apparently are a yes. Lisa Krasner, I hear, is just intent on doing whatever the governor wants. And Lombardo, on balance, seems to be, of course, favoring this bill, although I've also heard that he could sort of take it or leave it at this point. He's surprised by the blowback. But Krasner intends to remain in his good graces. I really urge Senator Krasner to rethink her position. This is not good for Nevada. And I know she's concerned. I know that she's concerned about unemployment. I know she's concerned about jobs. I get it. But a little bit of benefit to one industry that ultimately creates a less friendly place for doing business for everyone will be a death knell for Nevada. A short-term boost will be immense, and I mean this, result in immense long-term pain. We really need to think beyond the next 12-month cycle, folks. There's some degree of perspective required. All right, we'll get to all of this. And of course, I'll tell you, behind the scenes of all this is a cautionary tale for every state. In fact, for the entire country. Republicans need to stop being afraid to be Republicans. I mentioned this yesterday, but it's so important. I give you examples. There's a whole thing right now. Republican governors in red states have these blue cities, these blue jurisdictions, and they can't go in and clean these messes up when it's ripe for intervention. In fact, that intervention is not just warranted, it's necessary. My goodness, why are Republicans such weenies sometimes? Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. The What's Right show will be back in a moment.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here. The What's Right show is on. Quick word about Sam and Ash Injury Law. This is important. All right, you get hit, there's an accident. Obviously, it's not something you planned on. You're a safe driver, but the other person wasn't. And now you're hurt, your car is smashed up, and number one, you don't realize that for the next 3+ months, you have signed up for constant harassment by the insurance company. They're going to text you, they're going to call you, they're going to send you emails. And by the way, these adjusters that work the case, I mean, they might sound nice, but they are literally bonused based on the money they save their company. And every dollar that they save is something you lose from your pocket. And this is why a lot of people who go at these cases alone and don't get an attorney on their side end up in a bad place. They actually end up upside down. They owe money when everything is settled. You don't know how to respond to these emails. You don't know what they're asking for and what you should and shouldn't send. You don't even know what your rights are. Let's be honest, it's not what you do for a living. So call Sam and Ash Injury Law. Sam and Ash knows what to do. We do it every day. And it's and look, and best part about it is you offload the worry of the case to a team of people to help. Great people work here. Ian, Oscar, Rhea, Jason, Austin. Great team of real human beings, not AI, who will help guide you through your case. So here's what we do. You're going to call, simple call, 800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada or California. And you're going to call, a quick phone call, and offload the entire thing on to Sam and Ash Injury Law, the only law firm to trust for your injury case. Again, 1-800-304-2000, 1-800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right. All right, folks, here's what's right as well. The What's Right show here following very closely. In our home state of Nevada, this terrible bill, this film credit bill, Hollywood giveaway bill, just what we need to have our tax revenue walk out the door, given to one industry, and then when we raise taxes on everybody in the state of Nevada, basically make the state completely unappealing to any new investors that may come along. We'll just have to keep passing these bills and giving away money to every single industry, every single business that comes along, just to get them to come here. I guess that's what we're going to do. It doesn't make sense. The right approach, the conservative approach, is you make the state attractive to everybody. You keep taxes low. You keep regulation at a minimum. You have good governance. We're doing it all backwards. Our governance is a joke. I mean, literally what's going on in the state legislature right now is difficult to comprehend. And then we're doing these enormous big bills that sound good. And even some conservatives out there going, but Sam, it's going to produce jobs. There's no guarantee of that. And there's no guarantee that these tax breaks remain in the hands of the people that get them. The two Republican senators that still remain a yes, Lisa Krasner and John Steinbeck. Krasner's up in northern Nevada. Steinbeck's down here in Las Vegas. Krasner's phone number is 775-684-1450. Please be respectful. Please be kind. I don't want any complaints about any of you being nasty, okay? It's not about nastiness. It's about expressing ourselves that we do not want a corporate welfare giveaway. The same for John Steinbeck, 775-684-1442. So again, Krasner, 775-684-1450, and Steinbeck, 775-684-1442. Where's the vote right now? Well, we were by a hair, I think, in a risk of having this pass yesterday, and it still has not as of right now. And my latest intel just before I got on air is that the vote is 9-12. So they may have flipped one Democrat, 10-11. But it can pass with two Democrats flipping. On the other hand, if we get at least one of the two Republicans to go from a no to a yes, from a yes to a no, Krasner, Lisa Krasner, and John Steinbeck, if we can get one of the two to flip, this thing is done. So this is why it matters. Folks, you tell me from time to time, what can I do to make our state better? This is it. You can call. Today is when we need you. And by the way, these shenanigans. One of my top bits of information that I keep hearing is all these different shady Democrat senators and assemblymen, quite frankly, who have spouses that are either are lobbyists or work with lobbyists or financially benefit from lobbyist firms, have businesses that support lobbyists in some way. And so these people like Nicole Cannizzaro, who is voting on legislation that benefits her husband. It does. And everybody knows it, and people are talking about this openly. This is an ethics violation. It boggles the mind. And I think here in Nevada, and I say this as someone who has only been here for 6 years, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'll let some of you old timers tell me if I'm off base. But I think for the longest time, stuff like this just sort of flew, and nobody ever questioned it. It was just normal, and it's not normal, and it's not okay, and you know it, and I know it. And now we're starting to mature into a bigger state. And you've got programs like this one that, the host, yours truly, Sam Mirejovsky, doesn't give a rip whether people like me or not. I'm just going to tell you the truth. And the truth is, there's something fundamentally broken in our state. The truth is that actually, these people, some of them are hooligans. And what I would love to see is our governor, who is a good guy. I would love to see Governor Lombardo stand up to these people. He's got a veto. He can use it. Make the Democrats work for it. Don't just roll over on everything. These people are dirty. And it's ripe for a fight. And this is actually what common sense Nevadans want. It's what we want from our governor. And this is what we want in states across the country where you've got Republican governors that need, some balls to fight this insanity from crazy Democrats. All right, folks, music's on. I'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. Greetings and welcome to the What's Right show. Sam Mirejovsky here, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian behind the What's Right microphone. Yes, folks, busy week. That is for certain. By the way, kerfuffle in D.C. This is hilarious. I thought this was funny, personally. You know what the Eisenhower office building is? If you're, it's right next door to the White House, and it's basically overflow White House office space. A lot of people in the administration have offices next door in the executive office building because not everybody fits into the West Wing. Anyway, the Democrats are so testy. Is that the right word? Testy with Trump, that they have filed a case, injunction against Trump to power wash, preventing him from power washing and repainting the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. And so the Trump people basically said, yeah, you know what? Okay. Yeah, we're just going to wait until December 31st. We're going to hold off on doing this. This is what it's devolved into, folks. Trump can't even power wash a building that belongs to the executive branch without people freaking out. And do you now better understand why, when it came to the East Wing of the White House, that Trump told everybody that it was just a minor redo? That it was just an addition, and then proceeded to quietly demo the thing? Can you imagine if he had told people up front what he was intending to do? So this is absolutely this is wild stuff. Okay, it's it's judges gone wild. Yeah, the Comey. Okay, the Comey, and the Comey indictment. Is that you're asking about that, Robbie? Okay. Well, the word is that the grand jury, procedurally in the Comey indictment, when they were presented with the case, with the evidence, weren't given the entire indictment. They weren't able to see it, and this is an allegation. It's not a proven fact. So the judge is reviewing this. Remember, this is a judge that wants to do everything in its power to get rid of this case and to help Comey out. So my short answer on it is, if it is a defect, it can be cured. I mean, it can be fixed. It doesn't mean that the whole case goes away. It means you have to start over potentially, but it doesn't just disappear. So people are, even in the best case scenario, this is not going to be I guess an insurmountable obstacle for the Department of Justice. The underlying facts of the case remain as they are. So just going to leave that one there. Now, are you fascinated? I am, by the way. I am hugely fascinated by these blue cities that exist in red states. And, I look at this and I wonder, when will the Republican governors of these states get some balls and fight this? Remember Irina Zarutska? Irina Zarutska, we were talking about her in the days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. You can see why we may have gotten a little distracted along the way, but she was a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee. She was traveling on a train coming back from her job. She had started her life anew in the United States in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is an example of it. North Carolina, generally very red state. Charlotte, blue city. A lot of tech there now. A lot of Californians have moved in and other liberals who have now changed the politics of Charlotte. And that's why a guy named DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr., who was the assailant, the alleged perpetrator, who had been arrested at least, I think, 14 times. That's what local TV is reporting out there. Multiple violent charges against him. Well, we saw what he did to her on tape. It was horrible. Stabbing her repeatedly in the neck, killing her. He was well known to law enforcement. And it's one of these stories, right? What happened here? Well, the social justice mind virus took over this blue city, took over the district attorney's office, the mayor's office. Everybody collectively decided that they were just going to start letting criminals out because there's nothing good that comes of keeping people incarcerated. Incarceration doesn't fix anything, Sam. I've got a friend like this in Las Vegas who I adore him as a human. He's a very smart guy and a former judge, and he really believes this. He really thinks that, you put people in jail and doesn't really help the problem. I always tell him, I said, you get a guy like that in jail. If he had stayed in jail, Irina Zaritska would be alive. So it's very easy for you to say in the abstract, oh yeah, prison doesn't work. But if you're Irina Zaritska, prison works in a very significant way. New Orleans is another great example. I mean, this goes back to, I remember, of course, Ray Nagin and all the turd politicians that have run New Orleans over the years. And Louisiana's a red state, right? I mean, it's a conservative state. It has, as of a couple years ago, New Orleans has literally the nation's highest homicide rate, okay? And then remember the big hat police chief, the female DEI police chief, who earlier this year, oh, whoopsie daisy, we didn't put up the barricades, and around Bourbon Street, and terrorist drives in there with an ISIS flag, bam, just rides over, kills a bunch of people. And you hear her talking, you realize this city is infected by leftist thinking. And again, you've got a feckless governor who doesn't do anything, who just lets this thing happen. Because what governors can do is they can send in the state police. They can go to a city and go, listen, you guys aren't taking care of law and order. We're fixing this. If people like DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr., arrested 14 plus times in Charlotte, North Carolina, if he just keeps getting released from jail, send the state attorney general down there. Charge him at the state level. This is a thing that ought to happen. We're not doing it. Why? And I think these Republicans are too afraid. They think that if they act too Republican, they're going to lose the blue people in their most populous cities. Now, number one, there's certain blue people you're not going to get no matter how Republican or Democrat left you act. Right? No amount of bipartisanship is going to win over hardcore partisans. So those people are out. But when it comes to law and order, when it comes to people being safe, when it comes to you going to the store, like I got a text yesterday from my mom my parents live in California and in a very nice area. And she went to a CVS that she's been shopping at for years, again, in an extremely high-end area. And all of a sudden, everything's behind lock and key. I think she went to buy vitamins. Vitamins were behind lock and key. For Pete's sakes, people are stealing vitamins. People are stealing everything. Why? Because in California, you can get away with it. Spare the rod, spoil the child is the old admonition. And really what we want as people is we want to go to the store, be able to buy things off the shelf, and we want to get on public transportation or walk down the street and not have a 14-time reoffender stab us in the neck. Trump has proven something. Trump has proven that you can be unapologetic and win. It's something for all of these pusillanimous, I'm saying that word, that is a technical word that is not a body part. I just want to make that very clear, which is where the other word that I cannot say on air comes from. Side note. This is what all the pusillanimous Republican governors need to just get through their heads. Crime and, of course, its inverse, safety, is a big issue for people in the middle. This is not, only the craziest, most left wing of Democrats are like, release the prisoners, put them, pedophiles in our schools. Yes, please do it. Right? Only that's a fringe group. You don't need those people to win. You can build a coalition around common sense issues. Look at Georgia. Republican governors. Atlanta, Georgia is a lawless hellhole. Remember Laken Riley? She was just 22 when she was jogging there on the University of Georgia campus. Venezuelan illegal immigrant Jose Antonio Ibarra. He was convicted of murdering her. Now, here's the thing. Okay, this guy, entered the country illegally under Biden. Got it. Okay. He had been arrested a number of times. They had him, ICE had a detainer on him. And he was released in New York even. This is crazy. Again, these blue cities, lawless blue cities, released and released and released and let go. And ultimately, these people kill. And the important thing for us is to care about other people dying. Because before you know it, it's going to be somebody close to us. All lives matter, right? And these sanctuary cities, these sanctuary states have really done a number on us. And the wildest thing is to see it, like St. Louis even. I could go on and on. Missouri, a red state. Low prosecutions, very low, huge backlog, violent crime cases. Top national homicide rates. Again, a blue city existing in a red jurisdiction. When are these governors going to come in and clean it up? Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. I'd like to give a positive shout out to each and every one of our state senators, particularly the Republicans who are on the no side. It's a little trickier on the Dem side for me to figure it out because I have fewer contacts there. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. If you can tell my voice, I'm losing my voice. And it's because I've been on the phones nonstop over this Hollywood tax bill. The Hollywood tax giveaway. So I'll tell you the Republican senators who deserve kudos. And you can call them when this is all done and over with. Right now, I want you to emphasize, put effort on the two Republicans that are still yeses. But I can tell you that Carrie Ann Buck has been an absolute stalwart on this and has been working behind the scenes actively to put a stop to this. So Senator Buck gets it. She's absolutely on top. I've been on top of this issue from the beginning. District 5. So she's down here, Clark County. John Ellison was promised, this is what I heard, all right, $100 million for a new airport, because, they're going to be building a new airport in his district. And it's kind of a pie in the sky. It doesn't have the funding yet, but he got offered a ton of money. It is. And I don't know, Senator Ellison, if I've got any portion of this wrong, where to find me. Sam@whatsrightshow.com, by the way, is my email. But apparently he was so over this and heard from all of you that he left town. So he's not even in Carson City. Ira Hansen, District 14, also a no. Our friend Lori Rogich, a no. Jeff Stone is a no, and Robin Titus, also a no. That's how I understand it, that those 6 are solid no's, is what I'm told. And, of course, Steinbeck and Krasner, Lisa Krasner, John Steinbeck, District 16, District 18, respectively, are and remain yeses, though Krasner could be persuaded, I believe. Well, let me just do this. Okay, 775-684-1450. 775-684-1450. Lisa Krasner, folks, respectfully, please tell Senator Krasner what you think of this bill. All right? It's really important. Yeah, I'm just going to repeat it again. I think I want to create a Nevada that everybody wants to come to and do business in. And the way we do that is to make this a favorable tax climate for everyone. If we pass this bill, I believe that within 5 years we will have an income tax. It will happen. The door will open. They will pass an amendment. They'll put it on the ballot. It'll be an initiative. It'll masquerade as top, 3%, top 5%. People will go, not me. That's never going to apply to me. They'll pass an income tax, and then gradually, then the door cracks open, and the rest is history. 5 years later, you each and every one of you will be paying some form of income tax. You'll be wondering what the hell happened. And when that happens, forget it. Let me backtrack here for a moment. When the first step happens, and they put out a state income tax that is on high income, high net worth individuals, that will be a "you're not welcome" sign hung up all across our state to every business owner, every developer, every mover, every shaker. And then you're sitting there going, but I got a few Hollywood film studios built in Summerlin, yay! Meanwhile, billions of dollars aren't coming to the state of Nevada because you got too cute. See, you got to think ahead. And these Democrats, let me tell you something else. I wasn't going to get into this, but let's just say that there was some talk yesterday about extending a second, or basically agreeing to internally in the legislature to a second emergency special session to take place after Thanksgiving to finish this all up later. And it's being proposed, of course, by the Democrats, who are not getting votes on some of the stuff that they want. And they want time to threaten people, promise people, whatever, convert people to their side. So they're buying time with this. But the other thing that I've heard is that there's a possibility that the Democrats want to put forward a resolution, a Senate resolution. They just need a simple majority for this. A simple majority, a Senate resolution that would put mail-in ballots and drop boxes, constitutional amendment, enshrining it in our state constitution. Put that on the ballot and And what we can do, you know, typically when you have a constitutional amendment can happen one of two ways. It goes to the people twice. So it has to go on the ballot 1 year and then the following year. And it has to pass by a majority of votes both times. The other way, a lot of people don't know this, that we could pass that we can have a constitutional amendment added, is it has to get voted on by resolution in both houses, in the Assembly and the Senate. Democrats have the majority in both. Simple majority once and then a second time, and then it only needs to go to the people once. And here's the tricky thing. Do you have any idea how much national Democratic money would flow into the state of Nevada to try to put ballots, you know, universal mail-in ballots in our Constitution? Oh, you have no idea. All right, folks, back after this. Don't go anywhere. Greetings, friends, and welcome to the What's Right Show, your place for common sense conservatism. Monday through Friday here on the What's Right Media Network. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. At What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. Okay. I have this thought that keeps recurring in my head about the future of the political scene. Of course, things are rapidly changing in our country. We have, I think, increased radicalization, certainly on the Democratic side, where communists, self-avowed or self-described socialists, are beginning to become more and more popular. Sort of on the broadly speaking, on the political right, you've got some extreme factions as well, and some people that feel wronged by the system. And some of the wronging, some of the suffering that is endured by younger people in particular is real. Okay, cannot be discounted. So I keep thinking about this as a question of what happens next. Because certainly in the next 10 years, I believe we are going to move away from the standard paradigm here that we have Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, and that those things are going to mean what they mean today or what they meant 10 years ago. It's just going to be very different. I feel like I almost was a little bit ahead of this by using consistently here on this program from its inception the word common sense. I think it's going to be common sense versus the crazy, right? I think that's what's going to happen. Now, one thing that you have to recognize is that there is a lot of focus right now in the media at an internal conflict within the Republican Party or within the right, generally speaking. And I would argue the conflict is far greater on the Democratic side. And you know they're grappling with this, and there's a handful of party denizens, people who have some amount of authority and gravitas in the Democratic Party, who are actively looking to renew the Democratic Party and bring it back into the mainstream. And I think that is at least some of where the horribly misguided government shutdown originated from. There were people, moderates in the party, who said to party leadership, what you have to do is you have to stand up for healthcare. Stop talking about socialism. Stop talking about the trans kids, okay? Enough. Let's talk about affordability of healthcare. Now, as a concept, it's a good idea. Of course, I'm convinced that what started out as a good message was an intent to sabotage the moderates of the party by the radicals, because this entire shutdown is such a fiasco that it can be only described as a setup for failure for people like Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I think eventually when we look at this and strip away all the layers, we're going to see that there was some intent by certain radical members of Congress to use this as an opportunity to get rid of more traditional leadership. All right, but we'll set that aside for a moment. Why does this matter? And why does this matter to you? You know, I keep saying it's very fundamental here. We have a country to save, right? And Trump, I don't think we realize how lucky we are to have him. I know it's easy, even on our side, to it's easy to indulge in, gosh, Trump messed that up, or you should have done this better. I got it. But look at what he has accomplished in less than a year, and even considering the enormous obstacles in his way, even obstacles from his own party. I now, and I've started to do this a while ago, but I now look at people, certainly on our side, but generally as a politician. Does this person advance the agenda that matters to me? Now, what agenda matters to me? Okay, we can call it Make America Great Again, America First. But what I want is I want a border that is secure. I want a government that is moving towards some level of fiscal responsibility. I want America to remain a robust actor on the world stage without giving away hundreds of billions of dollars a month. I want to see safety, public safety, as a top concern of the federal government. I want civil rights of all Americans protected, not just of radical left-wing actors. I want a good, strong military that is respected and treated well. I want to see a Veterans Administration that honors those that have served and serve. So these are the things that matter to me. Does the elected official move the needle in that direction? And so that takes me to Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? And I got the leftists doing their crazy thing. They're trying to find themselves. And then you've got the carnies. And that's really what they are. They are carnival barkers on our side. And, Marjorie Taylor Greene has had a rather public schism with Trump. And I'm, it's, as I understand it from people involved, it consists of a moment where Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed to the president that she wanted to run for Senate in the state of Georgia. This was the next kind of career logical step for her to make. And Trump sent her a poll. And the poll showed her losing by, I forget what it was, a margin of, I think, 20, maybe 25 points. I mean, it was bad. And MTG took that as a slap in the face, and it has been on a war path against Trump ever since. We hear a lot over the last, or we've heard a lot over the last few weeks, certainly, and months, from a man named Congressman Thomas Massie. A lot of it vitriol directed at Trump, and a lot of talk about Epstein and his mysterious files. But remember where all this started. Massie strongly, vehemently opposed the One Big Beautiful Bill. And when we look back at it, the One Big Beautiful Bill is the reason why Trump was able to persevere through the government shutdown. The One Big Beautiful Bill funded Trump's priorities while absolutely screwing over the Democrats, to the point where the Democrats were left with no other option but to shut the government down for 40 plus days. Massie's not a strategic thinker. He may be aligned with me a number of times on issues. That's true. But he doesn't get the job done. Same with Rand Paul. These people are just clowns. They haven't advanced anything or helped anything. And instead, they then, before the midterms, a year from an important election, are playing what? Foils to the president of the United States, the president of their own party, building their own personal brands, ahead of a much needed unity to get things done and advance the president's agenda, which so far, by and large, meets the expectations of the people that voted for him. This is my problem. So Democrats are going to do what they do, and they're moving to the radical left, and we have an opportunity here to unite and be common sense and literally steal Democratic voters. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey and others can't get out of their own way. And I get it. I understand. Robbie's looking at me. He's a Massey fan. I know that Trump has antagonized Massey. Robbie, I'm not ignorant of that fact. I get it. But I also just this whole principled thing. It's bullcrap, right? Like the whole, we all recognize that Massey didn't say boo about Epstein during the Biden years. I mean, here and there, but you didn't hear these kind of exhortations to do anything. So this bothers me, right? This is people who are just doing political stunts. And Trump is a guy who, love him or hate him, he's actually getting stuff done. Even the left, the number one reason they despise Trump is he's a man of action. So it's like at work, I have a conversation with somebody. I was like, tell me, I'm an action person. Tell me what to do. I want to do it. What's the plan? Let's move it. Let's make it happen. I've got a case. I've got a client needs something. Let's figure out how to make it happen. I don't agonize about it. It's not about turning it into a stunt. So that's what we need to. We need to get the stunt artists out of the party. It's something that we Republicans also have a problem with. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network, the What's Right show, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Greetings, friends. Welcome back. So, I'll give you an example of this Republican stunting that I think is so damaging to the party. Remember, again, we have, I still have a border that now getting fixed, but we are actively rounding up criminal illegal aliens in our midst, deporting them, fighting Democrats at every turn, fighting the judiciary that is stacked with a bunch of corrupt judges. We are Trump is actively trying to shore up our allies to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic. We have Antifa running wild. We've got all these investigations need to run. Everything is happening. And what is Marjorie Taylor Greene doing? Having speeches like this one on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Will this continue after this vote today be a cover-up? A cover-up of the rich, powerful elites that bond together in sex and human trafficking abuse and all types of global business that enriches them but never serves Americans. The American people will know, and the victims, actually the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, will know, because they know the list of names. And I remain dedicated to my promise to read those names here on the House floor if those women ever find them in a place that it needs to be done. I yield back.
Yeah, okay. It's done. I mean, look, it's fine. Whatever, Epstein, I got it. This is what you're consuming your time with. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene out for herself, using sex abuse victims for her political gain. It actually ought to, if you care about sex abuse and if you actually care about Epstein's crimes, be disgusted by her. Yuck. Get a grip. No, this stuff really, watch when it all actually comes out. It's Candace Owens level idiocy. So then, yesterday, among Epstein victims, survivors, etc., Marjorie Taylor Greene gets up and, denounces Trump for calling her a traitor. Here you go.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Hey, with Republicans like these, who needs Democrats? Really? No, I'm serious. What a bozo. Also, just maybe like 10 minutes away from starting to bring up dud Jews. Robbie, don't you get the faint whiff that that's where it's headed? Anyone that is hitching their star to this, and I'm looking at you, Tucker Carlson, anyone that's hitching their star to this and playing to the Groyper, disenchanted, and I feel bad for them, a lot of them, young men that have been screwed over by the system, and is catering to their anti-Semitism, thinks that is a politically sound future, is I think missing the mark. You know what a leader does? A leader gets up and says the following: young men of America, I know you've been wronged. I know people have told you your entire life that you're worthless, that you're racist by virtue of being white, that you are responsible for much of the ills of our society. I recognize that you have been discriminated against, that you have been marginalized, truly in the real sense of the word, that you have been spat on in some cases by teachers. You've grown up with adversity, and yet you've been told at every turn that you've grown up with the benefit of some born supremacy that is uncalled for. White privilege is what CRT calls it, right? I know you've been through this, but hear me out. In the new America that we build, all people have merit. You have merit. And what we are going to do is build a fair and just country. We're not going to exploit people's grievances. We're not going to treat you like that. We're not going to take advantage of you the same way that the left takes advantage of their own, by winding people up and making them jealous. You know, read The Pardoner's Tale. They don't teach this stuff in school anymore. Geoffrey Chaucer, A Pardoner's Tale, is a great social criticism, of course, from several hundred years ago. But anyway, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote this book, and guy going around selling the papal indulgences, the pardons, and he hid behind all these different sayings. And one of them was a Latin saying, "Radix malorum est cupiditas." Avarice is the root of all evil. And I've long thought about this. I think the most poisonous of human emotions is envy. And this is what the left exploits, and they wind people up and they turn them into absolute mind-numbed robots. And I don't like seeing it happen on our side. This is not who we are. You see the other day that Nick Fuentes told his followers not to read the Bible. Don't read the Bible. You know, what young people need to do is pick up the classics and the Bible. Sure, pick up the Old Testament, pick up the New Testament. I'm not even a religious person. I'm telling you to do that. Read, read the classics or read great books. You want to read about American history? Can I give you a recommendation? Paul Johnson, A History of the American People. Absolutely phenomenal. This ought to be the AP US history book. Read about our history. And this is the answer to bringing people back. Meanwhile, we've got MTG running around. The Epstein files. Oh. All right, you get into an accident, you get hurt. All of a sudden, the phone calls start coming, emails, even text messages, blowing up your phone. And the worst part of it, you don't even know what exactly you're supposed to respond with, right? You're not an attorney. You don't have any experience with this. You just want it all to go away. But in the process of ignoring it, real problems begin to happen. And eventually you realize you're upside down. You're going to be paying money out of pocket, even though none of this was your fault. And you wish you had gotten some help on day one. Don't make that mistake. Don't be that person. And if you are that person right now, it's never too late to fix it. Sam and Ash Injury Law. The only law firm to trust with your injury case. It's very simple. Offload all of the trouble onto Sam and Ash. Have Sam and Ash take care of the phone calls, answer the emails, write the letters. Number one, they'll do it for you so you don't have to. Number two, at Sam and Ash, we know what we're doing. We understand what they are allowed to get and what they're not allowed to get, what will help you and what will hurt you. We'll protect your rights. It's very simple, very easy. It's what we do, and we've got real people here in the office ready to help. Sam and Ash Injury Law. Offices in Nevada and California, 1-800-304-2000. 1-800-304-2000. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. All right, folks, good news for Trump, at least on one front. I know a lot of people saying this Epstein stuff is just a major distraction. Of course, it hasn't been good, but Trump's foreign policy numbers are really good. And it's taken notice of CNN Harry Enton, who reviewed it this morning. This is what Enton had to say about the numbers, and it's obviously much better than they were even in Trump's first term, and a lot better than what Biden was dealing with just a few years ago.
Approve of Trump on foreign policy at this point in term one. Look, Donald Trump was just at a 35% approval rating, up like a rocket. We're talking about 43% now. That's an 8-point rise. On the net approval rating, we're talking about a double-digit rise. The American people like much more of what they're seeing from Donald Trump in foreign policy in term two than they did in term number one.
So often presidents in their second term, usually later in their second term, frankly, will turn to foreign policy. So how does President Trump compare to past presidents in their second term?
You know, this to me is one of the most interesting data points, because normally when we look at these data points, we see that Trump is doing worse than other presidents. But on this one, he is doing significantly better, because take a look here. All right, 21st century foreign policy approval rating at this point in term two. George W. Bush was down at 36%. Barack Obama was at 37%. Look at this. Donald Trump actually leads the pack at 43%. Donald Trump has a higher foreign policy approval rating at this point in a second term than any other president who served their entire second term in the 21st century.
Can I say something here real fast? For every one of these people out there like Marjorie Taylor Greene, America first, America first. What is America? America only. You hear that? That's the latest one. America only. Okay. What did Trump run on? Didn't he promise to disentangle us from conflicts around the world? Didn't he promise peace? Didn't he promise no wars? Is he out there working harder for other countries than for us? Hey, every meeting he has with a foreign leader, the country goes and offers $100 billion, $500 billion, $1 trillion worth of investment in America. What the hell? Sorry that I'm getting a little passionate here. What the hell is wrong with these absolutely retarded Republicans who are running around this America first means we don't deal with anybody outside the country? Why is Trump going? Trump is like a traveling salesman going around the world, making peace and bringing home the bacon. And he's doing it better than any Republican and any Democrat has ever done in my lifetime. This is what we want our president to do. Last night, the Saudis made a $1 trillion commitment to the American economy. 1 year ago, we had a president in office who just traveled around the world, drooled, and gave people money. Trump is like a trick-or-treater going door to door in all these countries going, throw some money in, throw some money in. He's reversing the flow. What am I missing here? Tell me. I want to hear, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Tell me, what am I missing? Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. These people are not serious. By the way, the Harry Ensign got into the Biden numbers too. Very
Part
good.
of the reason why Donald Trump is significantly higher than either Obama or Bush is what happened with Donald Trump able to help formulate a peace deal between the Israelis and Hamas. What are we talking about? Net approval rating, Israel-Hamas conflict. Look at this. Joe Biden was 37 points below water by the end of his presidency. Way, 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 way down there. Look at Donald Trump. Actually in the positive area. Look at this. A +3 net approval rating. The American people liked what Trump was able to do between the Israelis and Hamas. And that, I think, is a large part of the reason why his foreign policy is at the apex compared to other two-term presidents this century.
Now, let me tell you something about Israel, Hamas, Palestine, all this stuff. This Palestine-Hamas war, okay, was putting an enormous amount of fuel on the fire for the radicals in this country. If you didn't see that, you haven't been paying attention, or you haven't been listening to this program. Over the last, I would say definitely 2 years, absolutely the last year, the radicals in Western Europe, in the U.S., absolutely have made Palestine their rallying cry. Israel bombings, and Trump came in. And far from what the Nick Fuentes and Marjorie Taylor Greens and Tucker Carlson's think, went to Israel and set Netanyahu down in a way that no other U.S. president has and said, baby, cut it out. Stop. I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. And then he looked at Hamas and said, you mother effers are going to do this. Done. Cut it out. And he got it done because Trump is a force of nature. Now, what's in it for us, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson? What's in it for America? Let me tell you. We take away the rallying cry of the most dangerous people in our midst. That is not for nothing. And if your America first is that you crawl under the bed and go, nobody outside of my room matters at all, pretty soon your whole house is going to burn down. I mean, we're not Denmark, okay? We're the world's largest economy still, okay? And by the way, he's America. This guy getting railed, Trump getting railed by the Democrats and by the judges, and maybe now the Supreme Court over his tariffs that is intended to repatriate American jobs, to reinvigorate blue-collar work for Americans. And these, gosh, this is where I want to swear, I'm so sorry, these mother effers on our side, we're like, it's not America first. I'm so disappointed in Trump. Shut up. What are you talking about? You sound like an idiot. Robbie, what am I? Will you tell me if I'm off the mark? You know, folks, I have to tell you, Robbie can speak into my ear, let me know if I'm off base, but he doesn't do it very often. But when he does sometimes look disapprovingly at me through the glass. So sometimes it's difficult behind the dense beard that he has to figure out what his expression is. But I have a feeling that you approve of what I'm saying. We can't be isolationist. And it was never, America First was never about being isolationist. That's what the Democrats accused Trump of being. And it was a lie. The thing that we want is we want to right-size trade. We want to make trade fair with other countries. We'll trade with you, but we're just not going to, get taken advantage of. We're going to protect our industry. We're going to bring manufacturing to the U.S. We're going to reverse decades of industrial rot in our country. It's not going to happen overnight. And to do that, we want good relationships with people around the world. And as long as you're not, out there, targeting us deliberately and intending to, cause harm to the United States, we'll work with you. And that's why Trump is going to sit down and talk to MBS. And it's also why Trump is going to, take out Venezuelan drug boats. And if you can't see the difference between sitting down with the guy that's the head of Saudi Arabia and the Venezuelans, I'm sorry too. I don't know what to tell you. We need to start employing some common sense here, people. Sheesh. Sam Mirejovsky here, losing my voice. What did Trump say earlier? That he was raspy, his voice was raspy. And he answered, sir, Mr. President, your voice seemed to be a little raspy. What's going on? I've been yelling at idiots, was Trump's answer. All right, be right back. The What's Right show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right. For example, when it came to the Hamas war, the Hamas peace deal, people saying Trump shouldn't be in Israel again. He shouldn't be in Egypt. He should be at home. You know what the result of it was? The peace plan just got blessed. The Trump peace plan got approved by the UN. Talk about taking radical leftists, taking the wind out of their sails. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the program. So, let me give you an example of this. These are protesters outside the UN, absolutely losing their minds yesterday that this happened, but it's just a small little scraggly bunch. I mean, not the same crowds that we saw when the war was raging.
UN Security Council has adopted the resolution to authorize the Board of Peace. Shame! Shame! There were 13 votes for and none against this.
Wait, stop the tape. Okay, so what, she's shouting shame on them for authorizing the Board of Peace? Look at what a mind bend this is. Trump has gotten the leftists to protest peace. Beautiful. You understand that this, again, we don't read history books. We are on the precipice. I've called 2024 the start of the American Communist Revolution, okay? It doesn't mean that the revolution will be successful. Some revolutions fail, right? But we've begun a communist revolution in this country. You just maybe don't realize it yet. If Zohar Mamdani calls himself a socialist, a democratic socialist, he's a communist. He's using nice language to describe himself, but we all understand what it really is, and a lot of people support him. Revolutions have to be tactically handled. If one of the major flashpoints is a war, I'm not getting into who's right or wrong in this. Of course, up to me, I'd let Israel turn all of Gaza into a parking lot. Gone. But it's not about that. It's about taking the issue away. Trump is a strategic thinker. Unlike, I don't know, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and all these people who just, talk and build up their personal brands. Maybe it's not fair for me to throw Matt Gaetz in there, but I feel like he's said some stupid things lately too. So just listen to these protesters, right? You start to realize how stupid they sound.
What does that mean for us and our movement?
Yeah.
That means that we are recommitting ourselves to the struggle. That's
right. Trump took away the cause of their movement. Hear this? Sometimes, Robbie, I wish people would just listen to me, for Pete's sake. It would be a lot easier. There's like 12 of them outside, okay? It's not the hundreds marching through the streets anymore. They have lost their reason to live, their raison d'être, as the French called it, the reason of being.
the struggle. That's right. That means that we will never abandon Gaza. That's right. That means that we know our fight is a just fight, and our cause is a just cause. That's right.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens in these imperial doors, we will continue fighting for Gaza. And
oh, perfect. They're protesting the UN as imperial doors. I love it. I'm not going to play the rest of it. It just goes on and on, but it proves my point. America first doesn't mean that it's America only. It's crazy. All right, let me give you quickly an update from Carson City, bringing it back home here to Nevada. Scheibel and Flores are looking like they're going to vote yes on the bill. So this means this thing, look, again, we have got to absolutely, folks, right now, if the two Republicans can budge, hell, if one of the two Republicans changes their minds here, and I know we're just this is this Hollywood tax bill. This is a slippery slope to us having an income tax in Nevada. I'm telling you, it's that important. Call Lisa Krasner. Call John Steinbeck. 775-684-1450. Lisa Krasner is the main one. Lisa.Krasner, Krasner at sen.state.nv.us. Call and email Lisa Krasner, Nevada State Senator. And let's John Steinbeck too, 775-684-1442. John.Steinbeck, STINBECK, JOHN.STEINBECK at sen.state.nv.us. Please let them know that this needs to be a no. Please, please. This is so important. Yes, I'm operating this information board over this live radio. This is what happens. All of my sources feeding me information, and even Democrats here, a few of them not happy about this. They have their different reasons than I do, but it's okay. You can unite on an issue. It's the principle that matters. That's my take on it, at least. Boy, we're gonna prevail here, okay? By the way, if this ends up passing and it's proven that Senator Flores got threatened by a union representative, I really hope the FBI and the Department of Justice investigate this. This is an undue influence of a state official and influencing of an official proceeding, and it's basically thuggery, mafia-like behavior. This is unbecoming of the state of Nevada. These people are thugs. And one thing I'll tell the governor, if this is happening in your house, you're the governor. You're a former sheriff. I really hope that this is not true. Because if he's turning a blind eye to this, I think I'm done. Hate to be so dramatic about it, but I got some principles, you know? Just absolutely terrible stuff. All right, friends. We'll figure out tomorrow where we're at with this. The other bill that's in play, of course, is the housing bill, right? This is the corporate landlord bill. So the cap is going to be at 1,000 units. Includes foreign corporations, multinational corporations, hedge funds for owning multiple homes. There's some exempt entities in it, credit unions and such. So this is a bill. This is going to be effective starting next year. I think this is going to get a vote yes on it. So expect us to be a little bit of a less friendly state to, large landlords. I don't have as strong of an opinion on this bill. But we'll talk more about that when we get a roundup on what's passed and what hasn't. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Sam@what'srightshow.com is my email. Follow me at What's Right Sam on X for updates. I'll see you tomorrow.